Hello viewers, I am your host Rita Kusi. Welcome to 30 Minutes with HR, your premier human resource show for employers and employees. 30 Minutes with HR is a partnership program between KUSI Consulting and the Association of African Universities. And today we have an exciting topic to discuss with you. We are talking staff development. And I'm actually on set with Genevieve Puni, who happens to be my HR bestie. So get ready for an exciting show.
Treat yourself to a serene, plush, and unique experience. Check in at the AH Hotel, East Legon, where every stay is unique.
Everybody wants to be the best at what they do for the people they're doing it for. That's why, after 13 years of providing you with top-notch healthcare nationwide, the market leader in the private health insurance industry is going the extra mile for you. Instead of hopping from pharmacy to pharmacy, now you get your prescription drugs delivered straight to your doorstep. We will restock your chronic medication on the regular, so you don't have to stress to keep track. We provide on-site clinics that offers you professional medical consultation from the comfort of your office. Enjoy these amazing benefits and so much more by signing on to Nationwide Medical Insurance today. Call us on 0800-222-222 or email us at info@nationwidemh.com. Nationwide, we go the extra mile so you don't have to. Join the healthcare family.
Welcome back, viewers. Today we are discussing staff development. I am here with Genevieve Puni, who is HR practitioner at RegTrain Services Limited. Hey, girl.
Hey.
Welcome on
fine,
set
thank you.
again.
Thank you. It feels like yesterday.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know, because you were just here for the
Last
first
year.
Yeah, last
Last
year,
year,
but it was
June.
in studio.
Yeah.
And this time we are
Definitely.
here at
my
the
office.
RegTrain Services Limited office.
Yeah.
So good to be here.
Yes. Good to have you guys around too, and
It's-
thank you for granting me the
No
opportunity
problem. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. So let's get talking.
Yeah.
Staff development. What is that?
It's really about upskilling individuals. Adding value to the individual, so that at the end of the day, with what they're doing with regards to work, they're able to perform the role effectively and productively. And really, that's what staff development is all about. It's an ongoing process. It starts from day one, right from onboarding, right up until the person actually leaves the business, and continuously on a day-to-day basis. Informally, formally, you can be training people, mentoring them, coaching them, and that's all about staff developing. And the whole idea is just really to make sure that as far as competency is concerned, they are quite in tune with it and be able to perform the role that is expected of them effectively.
Okay.
So that's really what staff development is all about. It's not a one-stop thing. It's a continual process from the day one right up until they leave. Yeah.
I think a lot of employers actually tend to think you do it once. Like, yes, we've done training one time on a specific topic,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
Not at all. Not at all. I think it's doing it is also coming back with practicing it. and getting it right, making sure that if they're getting it right or they're not getting it right, somebody is there to watch over them to make sure that if we're not getting it right, this is how you're supposed to be doing it and stuff like that. So half of the time people go for training and they get trained internally and they don't really utilize it. But obviously the responsibility is also on the individual to make sure that whatever is being imparted on yourself and for your own self-development in line with also training and developing your role, you're also benefiting as much as you can. So yeah, it's not just a one-time thing at all.
I'm actually, it's interesting that you brought up the individual, right? Because when we talk about staff development, does the responsibility fall solely on the employer, or should the employees also play a role?
Yeah, I think the employee should take should also take the responsibility as well, because it's a two-way street. You know, at the end of the day, you are upskilling yourself. At the end of the day, you are adding value to yourself. So day in and day out, it is also the responsibility of yourself. And it doesn't have to be at the job place. You can upskill, you can learn different things, you can read. You know, knowledge is power. You know, nowadays, if you don't read, you're way behind. You know, so it's not only the sole responsibility of the individual. In actual fact, in the recruitment processes, sometimes clients also look out for people who are very innovative, creative, and you're developing yourself. I mean, what a better way. Yeah, what a better way to come into a new role with an amazing skill set that you have already, which the client will be able to take advantage of as far as obviously performing your role. And in that, you would actually be able to settle into the role quite smoothly because you've got that added skill that you're bringing on board. So it's a two-way street, off work and on the job as well, as far as, you know, the role is concerned, or the individual is concerned. Half of the time, people tend to think, oh yeah, I need training here, I need training here, I need training. My company is never taking me for training. They're not giving me training opportunities and stuff. But what are you doing as an individual? Yes, to also try and upskill yourself individually, so that at least you stand a greater chance over the others in terms of whether it comes to promotion, whether it comes to teaching somebody, whether it comes to impacting knowledge and all the other things. So it is, the responsibility comes from both angles, not just from the client's perspective or the employer's perspective, if you want to.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think it's really important, right? Because a lot of people, you know, employers sometimes, they may not understand when you need training, or maybe you might want to learn something different on the job. They may not be the one to, let's use this for an example. Let's say a role has come up within your organization. You work in a specific department, right? But the role is in another department. You're looking to transition into that department. Wouldn't the best thing to do is equip yourself professionally and make sure that you at least you can go and like present yourself.
Definitely. I think it's very important. Yes, definitely. It's very important because one, the company saves anyway, because obviously if you're transitioning into that particular role, it's almost as if you could also then double up and do it initially to make sure that you've actually transitioned into that role properly before they can even look at whether replacing your one and not replacing. And I'll use myself as an example. You know, throughout my career, there was an opportunity where that is how I actually landed in HR. Because I was seconding.
I remember the story.
Yes, I was seconding from reservations all the way to HR. So I was spending part of my time in reservations and part of my time in HR, and eventually I transitioned into HR. So it's very important that as an individual, if there is an opportunity where within the business you feel that your skill set can be impactful in that way, and that is the area as far as your career path is concerned, then of course you have to put in the application if the opportunity is opened internally, and then give yourself the best shot, because sometimes that is the only way you can get back onto the right track as far as your career is concerned.
Wow. So, yeah. I hope you're enjoying this conversation. A lot of great nuggets to take away with you. All right. So now, you know, some employers tend to think staff development, they see it as a burden, right? Because they may not have the budget for it, or they just may not see it as important. So then they see hiring more experienced personnel as a means to overcome that. So let's talk a bit about what developing your staff, what effects it has on the organization, whether negative or positive. what effect does it have on promotions? What effect does it have on turnover? And what effect does it have on the organization's bottom line?
Right. I think as far as, staff development is concerned, when you talk about employee relations, for example, it definitely reduces turnover because people like to learn different things. Technology nowadays, we all know how AI is taking everything over the place.
Yes, it is.
So if you add value to yourself, and you've been given the opportunity to perform extra roles and all the other things, you wouldn't be inclined to leave, so to speak, immediately. So that way, by upskilling the person or even giving them some sort of training opportunity and adding value to themselves, the potential of them leaving immediately is very low, which obviously, as a result of that, you have a very low turnover. When you think of promotions, I mean, what a better way. Internally, you're not going to spend money on recruiting, you're not going to spend money on using agencies, or even indirectly, the cost of actually recruiting the whole process.
Exactly.
You have somebody internally who can easily transition because they understand your culture, they understand how businesses are run, they understand the operations of the business and stuff like that. So it also helps as far as promoting. And in actual fact, some people go through these training sessions with the intention to get promoted.
Exactly.
Which is also a benefit to the business because, again, you save cost. You don't have to train the person on anything as far as the role responsibility is concerned. So it does benefit in a good way to the company. And yes, companies do see it as time consuming and time wasting, but it's not, because eventually it would benefit the person and it will benefit the business because it saves time, it saves cost, resources are saved. And sometimes, even when the person has been trained to that level, assuming somebody goes on holiday, the person can go and cover it.
Exactly.
It saves you cost from bringing somebody else in, as long as it's planned in advance and as long as a person can split their time between their main role and this particular role, then you save the cost.
Wow. So if you are an employer watching this episode and you're trying to find ways to, save money, or you think maybe you cut cost by not training your staff, there's obviously no way around it, right? You have to face it, and in most cases it saves you money.
And there are various ways you can learn.
It's cost effective.
There are various ways you can train people.
Exactly.
It's not always about cost.
Exactly.
People can mentor people, people can coach, people can second on businesses at work. They could study stuff online, especially now with technology. Reading. And that's the only way that they can also upskill themselves. So, yeah, sometimes they look at it from the cost point of view, but there are so many avenues and so many ways people can learn that will add value to the business and to productivity.
And you know that, millennials now actually, yes, we all want a salary, but I read somewhere that millennials actually care more about the development aspect of the job than anything else, because for them it's about the personal growth,
of
right?
course.
They want to be able to come in and be able to learn something new on the job.
Definitely. I'll use my one of my colleagues that I work with at the moment. He joined in as a training coordinator, and 3 months down the line, for the love of social media, he's decided now that he's going to go down the route of digital marketing.
Wow.
And that was because I gave him the opportunity to learn social media stuff that we're doing to the general public. And, through that, he's been able to identify that, Jen, with what the little impact that the little knowledge that you imparted through giving me the opportunity to support the social media team, I've sort of now decided or developed the love for doing digital marketing. And initially he came in that he wanted to be a coordinator, but now he's had to double up now. So now he's now responsible internally for doing all our social media stuff together with our social media team. So it's very important that we give the opportunities to people. When we see the potential in them, get them, add value to them. And it doesn't have to be cost. It's just a case of planning, organizing. You can spend 2 hours here, you can spend 3 hours here. One of my colleagues is interested in accounting, but she came in as an HR person. Now, with my accounting team,
how do you even transition from HR
How do you transition from that into that? She has the degree in accounting, but she wanted to experience what HR is about.
Okay.
But now I give her the opportunity where every Friday 2 hours, she spends 2 hours with my accounts team.
Okay.
So indirectly, I'm upskilling her in the area that she's chosen.
Okay.
But one way or the other, we're still doubling up because obviously the work, as far as HR is concerned, she's doing it, but she knows on Friday morning she has to spend time. And again, it's adding value to her.
Adding value.
And actually, what is not happening is that during the week when my accounts team are not here, she's actually the one handling all the invoices and the expenses and everything else.
She's developed. She's even developed on her skill set to
she
be
has
able to
developed
do more
on
on
it.
the job.
So it saves us the timing of having to wait for the accounts person to come in, because by the time they get here, she's pretty much done most of the things, and all he has to do is do the technical things.
Wow.
So
That's amazing, and it's
is.
great that you are actually giving her the opportunity to be able to.
and I think when you see
to
the
do
potential
that,
in people,
yes,
you've
you
got
have
to
to
give them
build
the
on it.
opportunity
You
and
have to
build
build
on
it.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think a lot of employers don't see that it's necessary, which I find unfortunate.
It is,
but hopefully,
yeah, definitely.
hopefully they'll see it. I think we've been talking about analytics. I think when they see it in the numbers, right?
Yeah.
If we go and we present the numbers to our higher ups, that would make all the difference.
course
If you
it
see
would,
the effect that staff development has on turnover.
Yeah.
All right, we will be right back. I hope you're enjoying this conversation. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Adansi Travels Product Knowledge Series. And I'm excited to talk to you about our FIT tour service, where you get the opportunity to customize the product to your taste. And with that, we take your details, your destination you want to go, the date you want to travel. We're able to do it to suit your budget. So you don't need to worry about breaking the bank when you are traveling with this kind of service. You can visit us as the details are on the screen as you see, or you can call us on the numbers showing on the screen. Let's plan your trip for you, and with Adansi, we always let you feel the beauty of life.
Adansi Travel feels life's beauty.
Welcome back, viewers. We are talking staff development today with Genevieve Puni. She is the HR practitioner at RecTrain Services Limited. Now, before we get back to the conversation, I have to acknowledge our sponsors. Adansi Travel, we got here today to do the filming because Adansi Travel was able to bring us here today. They transported us. So be sure to get in touch with Adansi for all of your travel and tour needs. Also AH Hotel, where we've been shooting some episodes. Be sure to get in touch if you have a conference coming up, if you need a place to stay. I work out at that hotel, and they just have such an amazing facility. So be sure to check them out. And last but not least, Nationwide Medical Insurance. If you're looking for healthcare insurance, be sure to give them a call. They are the go-to medical insurance company. So now, welcome back, Jen. Let's get to it. So this is part 2.
Yeah.
All right. So I know we already mentioned briefly how some employers feel as though hiring experienced staff is the way to go. But let's speak a bit about that, right? Experienced staff or inexperienced staff, and why?
So it depends on what you're looking out for. A couple of factors that obviously you would make you decide whether you'd want to go down the route of a experienced person or experienced person. Really, it's more to do with the time to train. Okay. That is one. Also to do with what the role or what the project or what the task is at hand.
Okay.
Because if you take, for example, a technical role like an accountant, okay, where you need somebody who is technically inclined, or somebody who is very experienced in handling like a project finance.
Yes,
to handle a project finance. And obviously within the time frame that you have, you may not have the time to even train. It makes sense for you to go for somebody that is technically experienced, because obviously you want to hit the ground running. You would also want to make sure that the person has also technical skills. Say, for example, they have ACCA, or they can use certain softwares that you use currently in the company. It makes sense for you to go in and do that. Again, if you have time, if you don't have time.
Okay.
But if you do have time, and you're the type of person or the company that believes in, developing people, you have mentors available that would be able to take the person through it, then by all means go for a non-experienced person where the person can train to get up to that level. Then obviously you carry on from there. So it really depends. I know, when we're dealing with our clients and stuff, a lot of them want the experienced people, but a lot of them are also open to non-experienced people. Once we're able to convince them and justify or ask them the time frames, how quickly they want the person on board, how they want things to be turned around and all the other things, then they're able to then adjust to say, okay, I need a non-experienced person. But the beauty about a non-experienced person is that you can mold the person to you.
Exactly.
You can mold the person to your culture.
To the culture of the organization.
Yes. And nowadays, a lot of companies or a lot of employers tend to go for that because they're not going technically for the experience that you have, but rather how you fit within the soft skills and how you fit within the culture as well.
Exactly.
And they will be willing to spend time on it. There are a few that would say, you know what, I need a technical person, as I mentioned earlier on. But there are others that would say, you know what, I value culture and I value the person to fit within the team. So I would take my time to train the person, coach the person, and get the person to that point.
Exactly. It's not easy. Let's say it like it is. It's not easy. But it's so worth it, isn't it?
It's so worth it.
So worth it.
Honestly, it's so worth it because, one of my ex-colleagues, yesterday she posted, I think she got an award for being consistent and being punctual and very hardworking. She's interning in India, Rita.
Wow.
And Rita, yes, Rita came to me. Rita came to me as an intern, and I saw the potential in her. And within 2 years, she transformed so much that the experience that she had from me, now she's using it where she is. I mean, within 6 months, she's gotten this particular certificate.
Like I'm like, it's just there is a beauty in it.
There is. It's time consuming. But once you're able to mold the person, the person is able to run with it. And believe you me, you would get at least a good 3-4 years out of the person.
Exactly. No, it's interesting you say that because we do a little bit of that in-house. We do it indirectly, indirect training.
Right.
And Seth has been with us for a year. And he's always really excited about coming to work and talking about progressing with the company. So it makes you feel like, wow, I'm doing something right, and it's being received.
Yes.
Like what the work that you're doing is being received. So when you see it,
it's nice.
Yeah,
it really is nice. And actually, as you're saying right now, all my team members were green. They were newbies. Wow. None of them had HR experience.
And now look.
And now they all are HR gurus.
They're like HR pros, right?
They're all HR pros, training pros, recruiters and stuff like that. So
that's what it's
I mean, it really depends on the factors, but a lot of companies are focusing now on culture.
Yes.
They're focusing now on how proactive the person is, how we can take advantage of technology and be able to execute things within a short space of time.
Excellent.
And really, it's how to work together with each other. And really, that's what is happening now.
And culture is everything.
It is.
Your culture
it's the way
is the
you
foundation of your organization.
Definitely.
So if your culture is not solid, then the organization starts to crumble and people start to kind of do whatever they want.
Definitely.
So that's important that we bring that up. But slowly but surely, the development is definitely, it's the change that I think is needed.
Yes, definitely.
So staff development, is there a certain time frame that employers should look out for in terms of, how do you know? How do you know when it's time to develop somebody in your organization?
Well, there's something called the training needs analysis. Now, obviously, it depends on the size of your business. But like I said earlier on, it starts from day one, from onboarding, actually in making sure that the person understands the business, the vision, the mission, and it's very critical.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to onboarding. And people take it very lightly. But I feel that people need to be onboarded quite intensively, even if over a period of time, for them to get themselves ingrained in. So that's where the development starts from. And then you also have the performance appraisals, which is the continual way of doing it.
Exactly.
Because back then we used to do performance appraisals where you set the goals at the very beginning, and at the end of the year is when you're reviewing the person. But now it's changing.
No.
It's constant
It should
on
be
the
at
job.
least every 3 months.
At
if you
least
ask
every
me.
3
Yes.
months, or some people do it every month.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and it doesn't have to be formal. It could be morning catch-ups. So how are you getting on? What resources do you need? How are things getting on with you? And sometimes, you know, we've got to be able to go beyond the thing of just the individual in the role. But you've got to understand, so what's happening at home? Are things, is there anything,
Exactly.
you know, that you need to get
Exactly.
into that? And that is all part of the self-growth. That is all part of the training needs analysis, as you want to call it. And also, one of the areas that you can also pick through this continual process, you can pick out where they're falling short. Because by knowing where they're falling short is where you can tap into
Exactly.
to make sure that then they start building up and making sure that things are being done. So it's a continual process, and the TNA is very, very, very critical. The continual way of making sure that you're mentoring your team, you are up to date with them, you're working with them, you're making sure that you're getting the right information. If they have their ideas are coming on board, they are justifying why it should be happening and everything else.
Exactly.
Those are the things that, you know, help as far as, you know, developing the person, or even identifying whether the person needs some training or they don't even need. And sometimes they make mistakes. That is also another way for you to see. You know,
sometimes, Jen. Okay.
sometimes they make mistakes, but sometimes it's not completely
Yes,
their fault.
exactly.
You know,
I
because
definitely
maybe the
understand.
instructions that has been given to them wasn't
Exactly.
clear. Culture, and they didn't also try and understand. Okay, so did you mean this? Did you mean we should do it this way? What is my time frame? What is this? So it's also the information that you give to them. And obviously, once you're done with that, if there are any issues, then that is one way of identifying the person's training needs, that they do need it. But you've got to be very, very vigilant and consistent from day one, right through to them leaving.
Yes.
And that's the only way. And you have to be consistent. You know, and like I said, it doesn't have to be formal.
It can be
Rita,
informal.
how are you doing
Exactly.
today? So the last time we're supposed to close out the project. What is happening with it? The telephone, this. Okay, can we do it this way? Can we sort this way? Can we do it this way?
It's consistent. It's consistent.
And that's how it works.
It's interesting you brought that up. I was actually at the digital HR conference yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And they spoke a lot about personalizing the experience for employees.
Mm-hmm.
And in personalizing that, especially if you're looking for the soft skills, your employees don't all have the same soft skills.
Exactly.
So what one person needs training in, the other person may not necessarily.
Yeah.
So like, how do you actually personalize? Isn't it time consuming? And you bringing this up about doing it informally, I think it's probably
It is. And it's
best
also
way
about
to-
if you engage the person. I think the last time on our HR platform, we're talking about employee engagement.
Yeah. Yes.
And it wasn't just a one-stop shop, but
No.
rather it's a process right through. And, you know, HR, we've come a long way.
Yes.
You
I
know,
agree.
now people are becoming very much more aware of personalizing the experience, because it's all about the experience. It's like the customer's experience, the customer's journey.
The
It should be
employee
the
needs one
same,
too.
the employee
Yes.
journey. You know, so that whatever gaps and loopholes there is, you can upskill the person. And even if the person leaves you, they take something of yours with them.
Exactly.
And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And, you know, wherever they find themselves, they know that, for example, if they ended up at Kusi Consulting, they might have picked something from Rick Train. But then it's
Exactly.
benefiting Kusi Consulting because
Exactly.
they've built that, and I've taken my time to train the person.
Exactly.
And then now you are reaping off that.
Exactly.
You know, so
exactly.
it's very important that we place a whole lot of value on upskilling people, adding value to the person, not just for the business, but for the individual. Because if the individual is fully equipped, it translates into their role.
Exactly. And when they leave, they are the mouthpiece of your organization,
Definitely.
right? So whatever you did, however you developed them while they were within your
Yeah.
organization, it reflects on you,
Definitely.
the past employer.
Definitely.
So-
I mean, succession planning is one of the critical ways to upskill someone or even to develop their talent without having to pay anything
Yes.
other than timing. And if planning is done properly,
It
you're good
works.
to go.
Wow, this
Yeah.
is, I don't want this to come to an end. So, I mean, I've been following, you have rebranded, I'm
We
loving the
have.
new image. I'm just, Tell us a bit about your services, where people can find you, if you have any jobs available.
Yeah, so basically we do pretty similar to what you do, which is the HR services. So when it comes to recruitment, when it comes to training, staff development,
yes,
we do that. In actual fact, this year, that is what we're doing at the moment, and I'll talk a bit about that later. And then we also do payrolling, and we do some advisory services as well. And one thing that we love doing is making sure that we can take your events, plan it, the logistics and everything, execute it, and just make sure that everything is on point without you having to even worry about anything.
Wow.
Which is the corporate events planning that we do.
Good.
But this year practically is more to do with the training, which is staff development.
Yes, I've been seeing.
Yes, we've been doing quite a lot.
Good.
It runs through from now till December. And obviously coming up next week is the leadership and management workshop, which is an amazing workshop. It's absolutely amazing. It's a 2.5-day workshop, but it really equips people with leadership and line management responsibilities on how to manage your team, how to be creative with your team, how to make sure that you are delegating effectively and strategically you're making sure that each and every single person, their skill set is being able to put together and bringing together the loopholes.
So it's not just for HR.
It's not for just HR.
Managers.
It's just anybody with line management responsibilities. Last year when we even had individuals that wanted to learn about leadership and how to manage a team and stuff like that. Good. So we've got quite a bit upcoming. We're using social media.
I've been keeping up. But it's good. I mean, this is what why we're having this discussion when it comes to staff development. So I
think with the recruitment,
I hope you're listening.
With the recruitment, we have a couple of roles coming up, almost sealed up, but people should keep checking on our website because we're still working on it.
And what's
a couple
your
of senior level roles as well.
And what's your website?
www.rectrain.com.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So is there anything else you want to close with that maybe viewers should know regarding either RecTrain or staff development?
I think the most important thing for me that I want to leave with people is that, knowledge is power. Read when you have the spare time. Don't just wait on your client or on your employer to take you and upskill you. You can upskill on your own way.
Exactly.
And there are tons and tons of information on there. Set aside a particular day, 2 hours a day. Read. Just read on anything. You can go on Google, you can type in anything. Read on the industry you are in, industry that is affiliated to you, and upskill yourself. You can learn how to use Word, PowerPoint, and all those things. Importantly is that training and developing yourself is a continual process till we go to our grave.
Exactly.
So you've got to start now.
And it starts with you. It starts with
the
you,
individual.
the individual.
It really does.
And I think if employers even start to see you taking a more proactive towards it, then they would be more than willing to support
you in that way.
Knowledge is power. Yeah. You heard it here. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for making your office available. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in to today's episode. It has been an exciting one, and I hope you took a lot of information away from watching this episode. Thank you again to our sponsors, Nationwide Medical Insurance. We have Adansi Travels and AH Hotel. See you next week.